Your grace is enough, it's more than I need. In your mercy, I'll find peace. Your grace.
Okay, folks, for those of you who may have joined the webinar, we are preparing to go live also on Facebook. So we want to thank you for joining. We are live on Facebook. We are live to the webinar. So Lisa, I just want to thank you for joining. Let me go back to the Zoom while we start our conversation. The power of possibilities. Welcome again, Lisa. I want to say thank you so much for joining the power of possibilities. I am so excited that you were able to accept the invitation to come on here and share your beautiful story. But before we get to you, Lisa, I want to be able to just talk a little bit about the power of possibilities, what it's all about, and who I am. Before we turn over to you, I know you have a lot to pour in. I'm so excited about what you have to share. But good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Power of Possibility podcast. The Power of Possibility is a place, it's a ministry where ministry in the marketplace becomes alive every day. It's how we show up every day, how we interact every day. I don't believe that ministry is only in the church. It's about how you meet the people along the way of life. It's how you show up in your family, in your school, your churches, your community. All of that becomes the power of possibilities. And I'm a strong believer of Jeremiah chapter 1 when God says, I knew you before I formed you in your womb. If God says he knew you, the big question is, do you even know yourself? And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because sometimes it takes a long time for us to identify who we are holistically. So my name is Saya Docio. I am the founder of the Power of Possibility. But most importantly, I am a woman of prayer. I am a mother. I am a wife of over 26 years. I am a businesswoman. I am a career woman. I have been blessed with a beautiful family, married to my high school sweetheart, Francis, for over 26 years. We just celebrated our 26th anniversary in January. I have three amazing blessings, three kids. My oldest son, Francis the third, he's 26 years old. I have Francea, my only daughter. She is 22, coming up 22, a rising graduate from Chapel Hill University, aspiring to be a lawyer. Then my last son, Emmanuel, he is also going to be 18 years old in June. He's graduating from high school. So God has been amazingly good to me. I love the Lord. I do everything with prayer. I strongly believe that you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. And I'm also the founder and chairman of the Annie Tito Memorial Foundation. Folks, for those of you who are listening, the Annie Tito Memorial Foundation is a non-for-profit organization that is providing free Christian-based education to over 600 underprivileged kids in Liberia, West Africa. We also have a women empowerment initiatives providing 5 different programs for abused women. We believe our mothers matter. And if you empower a woman, you empower the community and the family. We also provide community-based healthcare services. We recently built a clinic in Liberia that will eventually provide community medical services to over 20,000 people in the community. And then in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the U.S., because I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina, we also provide community-based scholarship to graduating high school seniors through the Annie Doe Memorial Foundation. And we're also just launched international mentorship, where we're beginning to help college students start to think more holistically from an international standpoint, to understand the non-for-profit space and be more innovative in terms of understanding the global world. So a lot, but this is not about me. I'm here with such an amazing woman. And I'm so pleased to welcome Lisa to this platform. She is the founder of soul yoga and wellness, and also has a foundation that is also pouring back into the community. So, Lisa, without much ado, I'm gonna turn over to you to just introduce yourself and let the world know who you are.
Thank you, Saya. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm so inspired by you and all that you're doing for this community, for the world. Yeah, my name's Lisa Ellisen. I live in Santa Rosa, California, and I'm a new wife. I've been married now just 2 months. And I'm a mother of two. I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. I'm a business owner. I owner of a nonprofit, and I'm a yoga teacher. And in the invitation to be in this space with you, like at the table, so to speak, with you, I had to wrestle with a little bit of like, who am I to be here today? And just feeling like honored to be able to share my story and share my voice. And I'm going to be emotional because this is important to me. And yeah, just super grateful from the bottom of my heart. And yeah, I'm bringing yoga into the community. I started with a yoga studio, and now I have a nonprofit, and I'm sharing the tools of yoga with elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, at our juvenile hall with first responders and anybody where I can, get these tools into the world.
Awesome, awesome, Lisa. That is so powerful. One of the things I wanted you to talk about, one of the things we're talking about on this platform is about turning, right, your passion and your purpose into profession. And that was the word that really caught my attention when I met you 2 weekends ago when you said, watch me turn this into profession.
Yeah.
So what got you to that point?
Yeah, so I mean, becoming a yoga teacher wasn't my plan. Like you said, God had some other plan for me. I was not on this path, and then I got invited to teach. So I began teaching yoga, and it was a passion, a side career, not my main career. I was married, and then I went through a very difficult divorce. And at the time, my ex-husband, wasn't a fan of my passion as a career. And it lit a fire in me to be like, I believe that we can have a life of purpose. I don't think we need to go follow a career path that someone else lays out for us, that we can find our way by trusting ourselves. And so in that moment, I had two young children, a 4 and a 6-year-old. And I got lit up about like, watch me go and turn what I love into something that has a bigger story.
That's the word, watch me. There
Watch
must have
me.
been something in you that was stirred up. In my book, I will think that's called passion, right? Passion is an energy that is it could be both ways. It could be positive, it could be negative. But so when you think about passion in your word, what comes to mind? And what fuels your passion?
Yeah, passion for me is like something that I get excited about, that I can't wait to do. I want to learn more about. I'm fired up over it. It's like a warmth and a longing and a desire to just to be in it, whatever it is. In this case, it's sharing health and wellness through yoga and mindfulness and helping people feel better in their lives. But passion to me is a driving force in feeling good in your life. It releases endorphins and feels like helps me when those days are heavy. Like right now, my community is dealing with lots of heaviness. But when I turn around and give back, there's a passion that's lit within me that helps me keep going.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, I'm a very passionate person too. And then sometimes it's hard to balance passion because from a passion perspective, we have to balance it with reality because sometimes the passion becomes so overwhelming and we refuse to see what the realities of life is. For me, that's my growing opportunity, and I'm still learning how to balance my passion. How have you been able? I don't know if you've had similar situation. Have you been able to deal with the situation, and how have you been able to balance your passion?
working on it, but I think it's putting structures in place. I'm learning about structures and having some boundaries, and help, I think is helpful. So I think as far as the not-for-profit space is an awesome place to be able to light fires and share your passion with others that can then go out and keep building and delivering your message. And it becomes bigger than you. So I think it's about structure and about connection and about asking for help, I think can help fuel the passion and also constrain it a little bit. So you don't burn out, because it could be a line of burnout.
And you know, those are all important points when you talk about passion and you talk about balancing that and having that community, right? When I first started the non-for-profit organization, I wanted to do everything. Felt like, oh my God, we could build a school, we could take over Africa, we could take over the US. But then there's the whole reality check. And I'm thankful for the people who got placed in my circle on the board to be more realistic, balancing our passion with realistic expectations. And that sometimes can be hard. But I look at you, and when I look at you and I said, wow, you look at me in the face and said, I can do this. It's an inner force that is completely unmatched. So with that said, one of the things we talk about also, in addition to passion, we're talking about purpose.
Yeah.
For me, in my perspective, purpose is the reason why we exist.
Yeah.
And many of us do not even know why we exist. And I go back again to Jeremiah chapter 1, when God says, I know you. I had a plan. Do you have a plan? Do you even know yourself? Sometimes we know ourselves, but we might even be so afraid of the unknown or the limitations that we believe are in our head.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, how have you been able to, with your purpose, how have you been able to walk into that space and deal with the unknown?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's been a challenge, and I think, there was a lot of expectations that I placed on myself or others placed on me when I was younger. And it took me a long time to start to listen and trust my own self. I was trusting other voices and letting them define what my purpose was supposed to be. And then I had a conversation with my mom. And shout out to my mom right now. I think she's watching today. But my mom said to me, Lisa, we're all cells in the body of God, and we need to find our role, our purpose. We can't all be part of the heart. We can't all be, part of the eye. We have to find where we belong. And it takes everybody and everything to make the whole function and work. And so then it was like, oh, well, I have to stop trying to be what others want me to be and find what I'm here for. And part of that was just, she also told me, follow what you love. Like, what do you like to talk about? What do you want to wear? Who do you want to be around every day? And that helped me find my purpose and define it. And so when it felt right, I would just say yes and walk through those doors. And so it sort of found me, I feel, but I was willing to say yes and stay in the action of it.
That's a big catch. Finding what you want to be and accepting what you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's two things, right? Finding what you want to be and be okay with what you want to be can sometimes be
accepting the call.
It can really sometimes be very difficult, right?
Very.
So just being able to be bored. One of the things that came to mind as I was thinking about your story was the tenacity to face your fear, to say, I can do this. As you said, dealing with your difficult divorce and still be able to do that. What really fueled that inner self?
I think God had a plan, but no, it was actually something external. It was a person that came to me. I'd already been teaching yoga for about 12 years on the side as like a hobby. I had a career in graphic design. And she came to me after she completed a teacher training and said, I'm opening a studio. And I looked at her and said, I didn't even have the guts to do that. And I was like, wow, that's so brave. And I, looked at myself and like, why am I so afraid? Why do I feel not capable? And I can't. And so then the next week she came to class and said, actually, I think I might need a partner since I've never taught a class. Would you want to partner with me? And I said, sure, like let's find out the details. So we started walking down that path together, and it was like she held my hand, and then when it all came down, she backed out, and I stood at that doorway and I said, yeah, I can do this. I did the numbers, and I wrote up a business plan, and I'm like, I can do this. And I did it, but it took somebody to walk me through my own fear and feelings of not worthy.
So it's always important to have that destiny helper.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are listening, when you think about your purpose and your passion, there's always that destiny helper. We recently launched the Power of Possibilities. I never thought about this. I was comfortable with the Annie Tito Memorial Foundation, with everything that we are accomplishing, pouring into the Word. As a matter of fact, the foundation is a memory of my late mother, who will always remain my hero. She did not have formal education, never entered the four walls of school, but she was the most educated and civilized woman I've ever met. She was a woman of faith. She loved the Lord. She believed strongly in community. Had 9 kids. I'm the last, but I've never seen anybody who was so intentional and fair and wanted everybody to accomplish all that God's giving potential. She died when I was 14 years old, but all of the value that she instilled in me, I knew that I had to one day be the person that she wanted me to be. And speaking of her, I'm thinking about the words of affirmation, the power of your words.
Yes.
My mother always looked at me and said, you will be great. You will change the world. You will be the best. She always reaffirmed. So it's important, right, when we are in that space to have people who will pour into us, because words are spirit. The Bible talks about the power of our words, right? It's important to have those individuals who will pour into you and tell you, you are enough, you are sufficient, you can do this. So for those of you who are listening, I just want to speak prophetically for some of the things that you may be thinking about. I'm here to say you are enough. You can do it. You are equipped. You are sufficient. God knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. Imagine God saying, I knew you and I had a plan. So the most important thing is being able to identify that plan that God has for you. So my mother knew that I would be this great person, even though I may not have understood the level she was speaking at. But back to your point, the reason why I brought that up, you talk about the lady who helped you along the way to help you believe in yourself, right? And be able to start this whole process of your foundation and your profession. How are you intending to help others who may be in the same space that you were in years ago?
I think the best way I can help others is by example and by believing in them. And like you said, just providing a safe space for people to come as they are and discover who they are so they can see clearly the path for them. So yeah.
A safe space.
Yeah.
A safe space. And having that community too, right? Because community is important. As you're starting a new plan or purpose, it's always important to have that support system.
Yes.
And I tell people, when we think about a plan and a purpose, we have to be careful and prayerful about it, because God has not called everybody to help you in that specific space. And sometimes we lose track of who we think mentally should be there to help us. When I first started the non-for-profit organization, I was a little, I would say, concerned about individuals that I felt should have been part of the journey. And God had to deal with me to make me understand that the plan and vision was given to you.
Yeah.
So you have to be okay with who I have assigned to you, and do not try to determine who you think need to be assigned with you. So from your non-for-profit standpoint, I don't know if you've experienced some of those situations, and what would you want to share in that journey?
Yeah, the non-for-profit is still a learning curve for me. And like you, I wanted to do it all myself. And it took a bit to take a step back and be like, this is not for, about me. I might have had the idea, but it's about the community and about something greater. So I think, yeah, it's just for me, it's learning to kind of let go of the reins and trust the process, trust the vision, trust the people around me. And yeah, so for me, it wasn't that I envisioned the wrong people, the people there that weren't there. It's that I didn't envision anybody there. It was just me. And now I need to make space for the others to show up that want to be part of it, that believe in it.
Amazing. You have done some amazing things. I want to hear a little bit. I'm sure the audience want to hear a little bit, some of your successes and some of your lessons learned, both from the profession and the non-for-profit. So maybe we can start from the business. What
From the
have been
business.
some of your successes and your lessons learned?
I think the successes, I'm very good at pivoting when things don't work right. So I've had 4 studio locations. Yes, because we've had, issue, the COVID shutdowns, different things. I was able to shut, reopen, try new things, partner, and then get out of partnerships that didn't feel right and go back on my own. So I was able to move and adapt, and I think that's very important, to be able to pivot when needed. So I think that's a win for me. I really wanted to train teachers. I really wanted to grow like an army of people sharing the good news of yoga with the world. And I've done that. So I've had 9 teacher trainings now and trained over 60 teachers. So that's a big win, I think, for myself. I also really want to connect globally. So I've hosted people from Africa and help with their missions and love to share and connect with others that are also doing this thing. And I totally come from a place of collaboration versus competition. I think there's enough studios for everybody, and that the more the better. And I think it's okay. Like, I'm happy for people opening near me, and I don't feel like it's going to take away, but it'll add. So that's really my mindset. That's been helpful, and I think a big win.
That's a catchphrase. There's enough space
Yeah.
for people. So there's enough for everyone
There's enough. Yeah.
to excel in this space.
Yeah.
I'd like to reiterate again for those of us who are listening and thinking we're in competition, right? Your word reminds me that we're not in competition, right? We're in competitions with ourselves. There's enough space. There's enough to go around in this word. So we just have to be complacent with who we are and what God has called us to do and show up with our best self. Because when we're too focused on another individual's success, we tend to lose focus of what we ought to be doing in the season of our lives. So from a non-for-profit, I know you talk from a business standpoint,
Yes.
4 studios have trained, you said 9 teachers. What about
60.
non-for-profit?
Yes.
What has been your lessons
Yes.
and successes?
Yeah, the non-for-profit, started with, I just wanted to share in my kids' classrooms yoga. And then it became bigger than that. Teachers wanted it, believed in me. And so in the last year, we've been, at close to 20 elementary schools, teaching to maybe 5,000 to 6,000 students total. So having, in school programming with yoga, mindfulness, self-awareness, and these tools that I think are really, really valuable. I just got a great letter from a superintendent that just was talking about the impact in the community to the teachers, the students, and the families. And that was exactly what I was hoping for. And we're moving out in partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club into Juvenile Hall and with some other organizations to work with first responders. So to me, those are all just really big wins, that it's moving out into the community and in a really big, impactful way to help heal. Our mission really is about healing. I wrote it down our vision is to create a community that's physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy. And that means like resilient in so many ways. And, not just with yoga, but partnering with other organizations, doing things to help, fuel that vision.
Awesome, awesome. So for those of us who are listening and thinking about starting a business or a non-for-profit organization or stepping into the deep, what are some of the few first things that you did that you might be able to help inspire those who are listening?
Visualize it, see it, you know. I think for both my studio and for the non-for-profit was just imagining, what it would feel like, what it felt like to be in that space, visualizing the studio space, and then you can create it. If you can see it, you can create it.
If you can see it, you can create it. That's a powerful word, right? If you can see it, you can create it. I know as I was reading your bio, you have a tagline that said, I can't wait to meet you on the mat. What fuels that?
Yeah, I just love meeting people where they are. I think that the world needs more places where people can come as they are, not how they're supposed to be or how they think they should be, but just to show up in the mess of our lives and to be held in a safe space, to be able to feel, and so we can heal and be, better for everyone.
Awesome, Lisa. I'm going to give you an opportunity just in case I don't know what questions you may have for me.
Yeah, what were some of your, how did you create what you've created? Like, what's your secret?
Oh, I would say for me, the first thing is obviously, as I stated, I'm a person of faith. So whatever I want to do, regardless of whether it be job or career or business or non-for-profit, whenever I feel that desire in my spirit, I first like to pray about it to have confirmation. And then I am a strong believer of Habakkuk when the Bible talks about write the vision and make it plain, and those who see it will run with it. I don't believe faith without work. Faith has to be followed with work.
Yeah.
So once I believe and feel it, then I begin to write it, to visualize it. And then once it's written, then I begin to socialize, because it's important to find the people, the community to help you along the way. And sometimes it may be frustrating, as I mentioned earlier, when I started the non-for-profit, when we started the non-for-profit organization, the vision in my mind was clear, but some individuals did not grasp the vision. So I had to learn to balance my frustration with reality, because not everybody is called to what you are called to.
Right.
So for those of us who are listening, if there are things you want to do, you got to first visualize it. You have to be able to articulate it. You have to make it make sense for the people you want to connect with. And after you've done that, and those individuals are still not excited about it, it's okay, because they're not the ones who are called to that, right?
Yes.
This world is over 1 billion people. There will always be somebody who's connected to what you are impregnated with. So you can't stop because the first person said no.
Yeah.
I think I remember it was Michael Jordan who said he had gotten so many no's, but the first one yes changed his trajectory in life. So no matter how many no's you get as you begin to work out your vision, your plan, and your purpose, you got to keep working on it.
Yeah.
Keep
I think
working.
those no's are good. I think those moments, because it gives you time to reflect. Am I clear? Is this what I want? Is there something that isn't quite right about it? And you can get refined. Doesn't mean to stop, to look, but reflect.
Agree.
Yeah.
And then after you've done all of that, you got to work.
Yes.
You have to make the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because sometimes a lot of us have a lot of big dreams, but we're not making sacrifice. You got to put in the time. I'm sure your success today has had so many hours, sleepless hours,
Yes.
denying yourself of many things that you could have been doing, right, to build your business and your non-for-profit organization, but you had to make sure you invest. You are the first investor in your own vision.
Yes.
You cannot expect another person to invest in your vision before you begin to invest in that. So those are some of those disciplines that I had to learn along the way to be successful. You got to be your first investor in what
Love
you
that.
believe.
Yeah, I love that.
And one of the things my family and I also do is from a non-for-profit standpoint, when we first started the foundation, imagine me talking about building a school in Africa to people in the US. It sounded like, really? Why should I believe you? Why should I invest? There's so many opportunities around here in the US. Why should I invest in Africa? So one of the things we started to do was to commit financially to be the first investor. Over the last 13 years, my family still remain one of the biggest donor to the non-for-profit organization because we strongly believe you have to be a first partaker of what you want others to invest in.
Yes.
Because sometimes we want others to do the work for us and then share the glory. So those are some of the values and successes that we have been able to leverage along the way to build our non-for-profit organization.
Love that. And how do you take care of yourself?
I know, right? I think the most important thing is time management. You have to be intentional about what you spend your time on.
Yeah.
So my typical day is making sure I spend the first 30 minutes reading my Bible and having devotion time in the morning to commit my day to God, to figure out what do I need to focus on. And then I have my priorities. Obviously, there are the musts and there are the nice to have.
Yeah.
So we got to have that list of must have or nice to have.
Yeah.
Some days I get distracted on those things that I need to accomplish that day because of those nice to have. But I always have to go back at the end of the day and recalibrate to say, what are the things I wanted to accomplish at the end of today? Did I meet my goal?
Yeah.
I'm a very competitive person. I think it had to do with my background, my upbringing, growing up as in a very humble environment. I always wanted to change and be a better person and rewrite the story for my family and my community. So I wake up every day wanting to achieve something different. That can be a plus and that can be a negative. Because sometimes I have to pause and celebrate the wins because I'm constantly looking for the next
Yeah.
thing to do. And I may not just take a deep breath and celebrate what I have accomplished. So in my professional walk, I've had my team tell me, let's pause and let's celebrate what we've accomplished. So those are some of those learnings I'm still working on in terms of balancing success and taking a deep breath before the next opportunity. But it's always important to have your list of what you want to accomplish, your short-term goal and your long-term goal.
Love
Because
that.
time waits for no man.
No, yes.
What other questions you have?
What are some goals you have for yourself in the next year?
That's a good one. I think for me, I believe that the Lord has been really good to me. Everything I have desired, He has provided all that my heart has desired. It's time for me to pour back into men and women specifically, and the world at large. And that was some of the background behind the power of possibilities. To share my story, my evolution from imagine being a 14-year-old girl who lost her mother at an early age, experienced 14 years of Liberian civil war, and then being able to immigrate to the US, and then climbing up the corporate ladder, understanding the culture and the political side of things, and getting adjusted and building a family, raising 3 beautiful children, and then building businesses as well as a non-for-profit organization is a lot. And then becoming a minister.
Yeah.
My husband and I got ordained as a minister of the gospel last October. So all of this, I say this to say God has not done all of this just for myself. So my next phase of my life is to begin to tell that story and help many others who might be thinking if it's possible, and use my testimony to let the world know that you can do all things
Yes.
to Christ who strengthen you, but you have to put in the work and be disciplined.
Yes. I write newsletters weekly, and my last one was on discipline.
Definitely. This has been really amazing, Lisa. I really enjoyed the conversation. Wanted to, if you don't have any other questions, I want to come back to you, and I'm gonna pause. Do you have another question?
No, thank you for sharing. I love hearing about you.
I'm gonna come back to you a little bit. How has it been being a mother, balancing being a mother and building your career?
Yeah. It's not for the faint of heart. It's challenging to be both, but in some ways the divorce was a blessing because we shared custody. So I would really devote my time when I had my kids 100% to them and pour into them and spend all my time with them. And then when I wasn't with them, it was the business. So it was really actually, I was able to divide well. Now it's a little more challenging as they're teenagers and the needs are different, I still really want to show by example that you can do anything that you want, and you don't have to follow traditional paths. You can find your way and find your passion and get to know yourself. That's really important. But yeah, it's just the world we're in is challenging. And so trying to be there for them when they're less wanting, the same attention from me. But yeah, I just do my best every day. I devote time to them every day. I check in every day, and then I try to live by example.
You have done a good job. I was privileged. For those of you who listen, I was privileged to meet Lisa's son yesterday, and he's already a young entrepreneur. So I'm really proud of this young man, and I know the best is yet to come.
Me too. I'm so proud of my kids. They're my favorite people to be with in the world, and I think they're amazing humans. And I just want them to see themselves as I see them. Everyone should see themselves as their mother sees them.
Agree. Like how my mother poured into me, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to pour back into our kids.
Yes.
Well, Lisa, this has been amazing. I wanted to leave you. I wanted to ask what final words you have to leave with your audience, those who are listening. What final words you have as it relates to turning your passion and purpose into profession? What would you say to those individuals who are still on the fence?
Yeah, that's a big ask. I think I'll go back to my values that I have in my business. I wrote them down so I would remember. And this is what I would say to anyone is, commit to growth, be courageous, which means sometimes facing fears, stay creative so that you can, create what you want, be in that creative space with yourself and with the world. And then coming from a place of unity, that we're all more alike than we are different. And when we remember that, it for me at least, it helps me feel less alone. So be committed to growth, be courageous, be creative, and as you endeavor in your life, and come from unity.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything else that I may not have covered?
I think we did a good job. I feel very, grateful again to be here and to share. Thank you. Thank you.
How can folks contact you?
I'm on social media. So Soul Yoga SR, and for Santa Rosa is our Instagram. And then the Soul Yoga Foundation also has one and website. And you can reach out I have a chat on the website that people can find me. It's also Soul Yoga SR. So
awesome, Lisa. This has been amazing. And then those of you who are watching, I want to say thank you for joining the Power of Possibility podcast. Believe in yourself. Remember Jeremiah 1:5, God knew you. He had a plan. You need to ask yourself, what is the plan? Am I walking in the fullness of God's call for my life? And if you are not, it's time to really take a step back and dig deep and find that purpose, because a life without purpose is I will say, if you're not walking in your purpose, you do not want to be one of those individuals who go to the grave with all of the capacity that God has given you. There's so many resources out there to step into who you believe. If I can do it, at least I can do it, you can do it. And if you have questions on how to take the first step, I'm available. You can visit the website. As you can see, the power of possibility, www.sireseal.com. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on social media. Or if you're passionate about non-for-profit, you also visit the NET Memorial Foundation. There's so many ways to contact me. It's been a pleasure being your host this evening. I want to say thank you for tuning in. And I want to say thank you, Lisa, for on such a short notice to share with the world how you have been able to turn your passion and purpose into profession. I pray
Thank
that
you,
God
Sam.
bless your work. And I can't wait to see what the next phase of your life is going to look like.
So grateful to know you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye for now.